Welcome back to Kleppers Corner. Today in history, the show where we don't just ask what happened on this date, we ask, why does December 16th keep choosing violence, constitutions, earthquakes, revolutions, and occasionally Pokemon seizures? Because December 16th isn't a date, it's a pressure point. Push it and history cracks, reshapes itself, and then pretends this was always the plan. Today, we're walking through empires collapsing, nations being born, wars exploding out of quiet forests, the planet literally shaking, and science quietly inventing the future while everyone else is on fire. Strap in. Segment 1, December 16th, 1653. The day England invented a constitution and accidentally a dictator. On December 16th, 1653, England tried something bold, radical, and very on brand for humans in crisis. They invented the first written constitution in modern history, and then immediately used it to put a general in charge. After cutting off the king's head, England stared into the abyss and realized it had absolutely no idea how to govern itself. Parliament wasn't working. The replacement parliament wasn't working. Everyone kept shouting, "Godly rule," and somehow meaning, "My friend should be in charge." So, out comes the instrument of government, drafted mostly by John Lambert, and in walks Oliver Cromwell as Lord Protector. Not king, definitely not king, just king-shaped. This constitution introduced regular parliaments, checks on power, and religious toleration for Protestants, which at the time was considered extremely generous, as long as you ignore Catholics and basically everyone else. It also quietly allowed the army to keep the money, which is never a red flag unless you enjoy coups. It was a revolutionary idea. Write the rules down. And also a warning. If your constitution requires a guy with an army to enforce it, you may have skipped a step. Segment 2, December 16th, 1773. The Boston Tea Party, or how to start a revolution without touching anything else. Fast forward a century to December 16th, 1773, when American colonists looked at a tax on tea and said, absolutely not, but we will be extremely organized about this. The Boston Tea Party wasn't chaos. It was theater, carefully choreographed political theater. Men dressed as Mohawk Indians boarded British ships and dumped 342 chests of tea into the harbor, touching nothing else. No looting, no ship damage. One lock broken, and they replaced it the next day. This wasn't about tea prices. The tea was cheaper. That was the problem. It was about control, monopolies, and Parliament reminding the colonies who was boss. And the colonies responding, cool, enjoy your soggy leaves. Britain reacted like every empire does when embarrassed. Punishment, port closures, crackdowns, laws so harsh, Americans renamed them the Intolerable Acts, which is not subtle branding. Instead of isolating Massachusetts, Britain accidentally united the colonies. December 16th didn't just dump tea, it dumped the illusion that this could be solved politely. Segment 3, December 16th, 1971, the birth of Bangladesh and the largest surrender since World War II. On December 16th, 1971, history didn't just change borders. It changed the balance of power in South Asia. After months of genocide, mass displacement, and brutal repression in East Pakistan, Indian forces and Bengali fighters surrounded Dhaka. The Pakistani Eastern Command collapsed. And then something staggering happened. 93,000 soldiers surrendered. That's not a typo. It was the largest surrender of armed forces since World War II. A nation effectively ceased to exist in its old form in a single ceremony. Bangladesh emerged not just from war, but from survival. Victory Day isn't just about independence. It's about endurance after unimaginable loss. December 16th marks both the end of violence and the beginning of rebuilding a country almost from scratch. History rarely gives you clean endings. This one did, on paper at least. Segment 4, December 16th, 1944, the Battle of the Bulge and winter deciding the war. While some Decembers create nations, others try to save collapsing empires. On December 16, 1944, Germany launched its last major gamble in World War II. The Ardennes Forest, bad weather, thin American lines, Hitler's final roll of the dice. The plan was simple in theory. Punch through Allied forces, split them, take Antwerp, force a negotiated peace. The reality was frozen tanks, fuel shortages, stubborn American resistance, and weather eventually clearing just long enough for Allied air power to erase the plan from existence. Bastogne held, supplies ran out, and Germany burned its last reserves of men and machines in the snow. December 16th didn't save the Third Reich, it sealed its fate. After the bulge, Germany had nothing left to throw. Segment 5, December 16th, when the Earth itself joins the conversation. Sometimes history isn't made by people. Sometimes the planet clears its throat. On December 16, 1811, the New Madrid earthquake shook North America so violently that the Mississippi River briefly flowed backward. Churches rang bells on their own. The ground rolled like waves. A lake appeared where land used to be. And this wasn't California. This was the middle of the continent, a reminder that the map under your feet is temporary. Then, on December 16, 1920, China's Haiyuan earthquake killed hundreds of thousands, turning entire towns into landslides. And in 1707, Mount Fuji erupted after an earthquake, burying regions in ash and rewriting Japan's landscape. December 16th doesn't just reshape borders, it reshapes the ground itself. Segment 6, December 16, 1947. The transistor quietly invents the future. While wars raged and earthquakes shattered cities, December 16th also hosted one of the quietest revolutions in human history. In a lab in New Jersey, two scientists pressed gold contacts onto a piece of germanium and accidentally invented the transistor. No explosion, no crowd, no applause. Just the foundation of every computer, phone, satellite, and digital device you've ever used. The transistor replaced vacuum tubes and made the modern world small, fast, and everywhere. Empires fall loudly. Technology changes everything quietly. Segment 7, December 16th, Independence Days, Reconciliation Days, and the end of the USSR. December 16th is Independence Day in more places than one. Bangladesh celebrates victory. Kazakhstan marks its independence as the final republic to leave the Soviet Union in 1991, officially ending an empire that once controlled half of Europe and Asia. Bahrain celebrates national unity tied to monarchy and post-colonial identity. And in South Africa, December 16th holds multiple meanings at once. A battle for Afrikaner nationalism, the launch of armed resistance to apartheid, and now the Day of Reconciliation. Same date, different histories. One calendar trying to hold it all. Segment 8, December 16th, culture, genius, and a Pokemon-induced emergency room surge. December 16th also gave us Jane Austen, Ludwig van Beethoven, Arthur C. Clarke, and Philip K. Dick. Basically, the emotional depth, social critique, and existential dread starter pack. It's also the release date of Avatar, the film that taught Hollywood you could print money if you filmed everything in blue. And then there's Pokemon. On December 16, 1997, a flashing animation sent hundreds of kids to the hospital, forcing the entire animation industry to rethink safety standards. One cartoon episode changed global broadcasting rules. That's range. In conclusion, December 16th is not a footnote. It's a hinge. Constitutions are written, revolutions ignite, wars turn, nations are born, the earth shakes, technology changes everything. Culture accidentally knocks people unconscious. If history has reset buttons, December 16th keeps pressing them over and over again. And tomorrow, history will pretend this was inevitable.